Let me know in chat if there's any particular codes y'all want to go over tonight that y'all had a question on, and I'll try to get to them. But for this question right here, you guys know, whoops, what happened to this thing? Oh, there we go. I hit it too many times, I bet. No? Okay, good. So we've got the process of elimination and looking for similarities would have me only looking at C and D, and I would not look up these two codes. A lot of people don't like the process of elimination. They don't think it's helpful for during the exam, so I'll teach both ways. But if I was doing this question, I would only look at C and D. I would get rid of B and A just because numerically C and D start out with the same answer. A lot of times with medical coding questions on certification exams, 2 answers are junk and 2 answers are super close, and there's only one difference between the 2 answers or something very small change in it. And they want to know, do you know what that difference is and if that is coded in a particular way or not? But if you want to look up all the codes and you want to know what your differences are, you guys know about my trick about the second and third digits of every CPT code. That, not always, but in general, when your second and third digits are different, that usually means there's a header change. So these would be under one header. This is going to be under a different header, and this is going to be under a different header. So instead of going to each code and reading the CPT code descriptor, I know that these are going to be under different headers. Those headers are easier to decipher than CPT codes when you're searching through a question to see which code would be the correct answer. So what I mean is, let's go to 909. 909.66. 909.66 is on page 739, but we don't look at the CPT code descriptor. What I want you to do is go backwards until you find a header. It may not be on the same page, it may not be on the previous page, it may be even on the next page before it. So I do find the header, and the header for that particular code, 909.66, is on page 737, and it says it is under end-stage renal disease services. Also, miscellaneous dialysis procedures is very close to that too. We've got, our next one is 995. Personally, I wouldn't have looked up these codes. I think it just slow you down. But a lot of people do not feel comfortable getting rid of answers just because they're not numerically the same. 995 is under home health procedure services. And 99601 is under home health infusion procedures. Headers. Headers before descriptors. So, what are we doing to the patient? We search our question. What did we do? We did peritoneal dialysis. For a month. If you have your one-word differences down beside your codes, it can also be super helpful to know that 90966, your guideline for 90966 is this paragraph over here on page 738. It's for a full month's worth of dialysis for end-stage renal disease for home dialysis patients. But I believe that this code is for 1 month, but it also is for an MD provider. The 99512, if you look at that one, it's for hemodialysis, and it's also it says for patients' home health. It is used for non-MD, for non-physician, so it is for personnel. So this could be for personnel, like home health personnel, so that's helpful to know. Then the 9601 for the home infusion is also for personnel, for home health people, not provider. And it is for infusion. Hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis, one of the things you're going to need to know to be able to answer this is what's the differences between dialysis, how many different dialysis are there, what's the difference between hemo and peritoneal, would any one of those be considered an infusion procedure versus a home health procedure. This one's really difficult if you don't understand and fully know exactly what the differences are in all the home healths. So I put a little thing up that says there's 3 types of dialysis: in-center hemodialysis, home hemodialysis, peritoneal dialysis. So hemodialysis is ongoing dialysis. They do it 3 to 5 times a week. It cleans your blood, hemo, blood, right? blood, and it's usually done at a dialysis center. Hemodialysis is accessed through the arm. Peritoneal dialysis is also ongoing dialysis, usually daily, but it collects waste from the blood by washing the empty space in the abdomen, which is your peritoneal cavity. And that washing is called an infusion because in a peritoneal dialysis fluid, which is called the disalate, is infused into the abdomen cavity, or what they call the peritoneal cavity, through a catheter. It's kind of washing it out. So knowing if you're doing what dialysis it is, that's going to make a huge difference in knowing which one you're going to pick, because these are all blood and hemodialysis, where this one, the 96, is the only one that's an infusion, and that's the only one that is going to be peritoneal dialysis. So if you haven't already, right here at 99601 and 602, write peritoneal dialysis right here as your one-word differences. That will make a huge difference. You'll be able to understand which one would be which. And you'll know that hemo would go somewhere else. But this one said it was peritoneal dialysis. So, of course, D is our answer. And I'll tell you why it's the answer. Why this 13? So, why we would be timesing it by 13. So if we read the CPT code descriptor, it says home infusion, drug administered per visit up to 2 hours. And then our add-on code is for each additional hour. Our question says that the patient was seen 3 days out of a week, and we're going to bill for a month. And the nurse did daily activities each week. And how long did she say she spent? That lasted 3 hours. So if somebody's at your house 3 days a week, there's 4 weeks in a month, right? And this is for code 99601, and it does for 2 hours. They said they did 3 hours each visit, so that's where they come up with our 99602. And it will have just as many visits. 3 times 4 is 12. I can get at least that much, that I know we're going to have 12 visits each time. I'm not sure how they got 13, but I don't know. Maybe if you take 30 days and divide it by something, I don't know, and there's 31 days, maybe there's an extra day of the month. I don't know. But as far as I can count, I know 3 days a week times 4 weeks is pretty close, but maybe there was a 31-day month. I don't know how they got 13, but that's as close as I can get. Anybody else got an answer for that extra day? I do have their rationale with this, but that gets me super close to picking out which answer is correct. If I know I'm peritoneal, I know it's an infusion dialysis, it can only be one of these two. I know I have to times this one by 13 and this one by 13 to get my total hours, because this is just 2 hours each day. This will account for the extra hour. That makes 3 hours times 13 visits. So that's super handy dandy. These do not they do not say the word each, but what they do say is per visit. So that per visit is your AKA term for each. That's the same thing as the word each. And of course, our O2 has the word each, so you know you can times it. But that per visit means you can times. So be sure and add your note here to say you can times both of the answers. Change this word to each. At least we got that done. And then you can put this example in there underneath it. But that's how they came up with that. Their rationale, let's see, how did they come up that? What did they say about the 13? I don't know.